Hi, Jason Canal at GQue Barbecue. Today, it is going down right here, Denver, Colorado. We're gonna find out between a ribeye or a brisket, what tastes better on a cheesesteak. We're gonna keep everything the same today, except for the meat. We're gonna be using smoked GQue barbecue brisket versus ribeye. Let's get our peppers chopped up. Today I'm using yellow onions. I'm a huge fan of the yellow onions. I love the sweetness that comes out of them as they cook. As I cut these onions, I'm trying to avoid a thick cut onion. I want them nice and thin, something like this. I'm using the GQue knife. My man Lee is giving you all a discount down below. Take 30% off the cost of all GQue knives. Okay, so onions are done, peppers are done. Let's take a look at the steaks. These ribeyes right here, prime graded USDA ribeye. Massive flavor with the prime graded. Top 3-4% of all cattle in America are in a prime rating. It's because of this marbling that you see. And this is outstanding. Look at all these different shreds of white. This is that soft fat. This is all going to render out and deliver massive amounts of flavor during the cook. We're going to go ahead and trim up this outer fat right here. These steaks I put inside the freezer for about 30 minutes. They're not rock hard, but they're hard. Given that it's Colorado right now in January, I could have just left them out. We got snow all over the ground out here. I'm gonna go ahead and remove these big pockets of fat. The thing that I like most about this steak, aside from the marbling, is the cap meat. I'm a big fan of cap meat. Between that and the point on a brisket, I think it's some of the best meat on the cow. You can see the fat marbling in here. While it's still very good over here, it's even better in this cap. This is a boulevard of flavor going all the way down and around the ribeye. So when I'm selecting these ribeyes in the store, I'm looking for ones that are marbled like this with all of this soft fat throughout, but also have a significant amount of cap meat going around. I freeze it for 30 minutes because it makes the preparation and the slicing of the meat much easier. If this was room temperature, the meat would be sticking to the knife. You see sometimes people slice long slices of ribeye. I'm going for little small strips of ribeye. That way when we take a bite, the meat doesn't come rolling out of the sandwich. Very simple cut, combination of superiority of these knives and that this meat is partially frozen. I'm gonna go ahead and give it one more just rough chop as we go through here. This is gonna allow us to get some really clean bite through bites of the cheesesteak. So our ribeye is cut up. I'm gonna go ahead and chop up this brisket. You can see how cold it is out here. This fat just won't move. It's in that solidified, cold state. So cutting up brisket, as I think all of you know, but we always wanna go 100% against the grain. You can see in here the grain is running this way. So all of my slices against the brisket are gonna run perpendicular to that. Brisket was trimmed well in the restaurant. You can see it's still got a little bit of fat on the bottom. And we use USDA prime only briskets in the restaurant. Being out here in the cold like this, you get X-ray vision into this brisket and you can see where all the fat is. And you know fat is where it's at. That's where all the flavor is. And that's what you get by cooking a prime brisket. Beautiful smoke ring on this brisket too, but as many of you know, the smoke ring doesn't indicate the amount of smoke flavor that's in the brisket. Maybe we'll do a video one day teaching about the smoke ring. If you'd like to see that, let me know down in the comments below. So in the restaurant, we always talk about pencil thick slices. Let's see if I can get a good pencil thick slice right here. That's it right there. Nice Dixon Ticonderoga number 2 thick slice brisket. Just cutting up this USDA prime brisket, I'm already getting aromas of hickory that I obviously did not get slicing up the ribeye. Brisket's cutting so easy, it's super tender. The vegetables are chopped up and ready to go. I got that smoky USDA prime brisket and that well-marbled prime ribeye. I'm excited to see how this turns out. Red Solo cup. You get the Blackstone ready to cook. Let's get our vegetables going. I got the settings on here set for a medium-high heat. Season them up with a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. For the setup on the Blackstone, I got the 2 burners on the left set on a medium-high heat, and the 2 burners on the right set on low heat. This one on the right, I'm going to turn all the way off, and once the peppers cook, I'll push those all the way over. I'm a big fan of this browning action. I love the flavor that Maillard reaction gives off. If you're cooking vegetables like this in the Blackstone, you're not cooking the vegetables on top. Just the vegetables on the bottom are cooking. So I like to flatten them all out so they get that surface area, and they all get to cook nice and even. Our veggies are done. We're getting some good caramelization on the onions. The bell peppers are getting nice and soft. I'm going to move those over to the cool side. One thing I've learned cooking on the Blackstone is it's nice and hot going right along that middle. So if you want to keep things cool, go ahead and put them in your corners. So now that our veggies are off, I'm going to go ahead and crank up the heat to high. Let's turn up the heat and put on some meat. The ribeye, since it's raw, it's going to take longer to cook. Oh, listen to that sizzle. We're going to get those good crispy brown bites. That's another benefit of cutting them up nice and small so you get the surface area. So every single bite of that ribeye is going to capture those brown crispy bites, and that good crispy crust is where a lot of flavor is. For the uncooked ribeye, I'm going to season that up with 1/3 kosher salt, 1/3 black pepper, and 1/3 GQue barbecue the rub. The brisket, since that's already seasoned, I'm not going to hit it with as much of this, but I will lightly coat it. Ribeye smelling good. Got a good medium on it right now. What I'm going for is a little bit more of these crispy bits on here. So I'm going to let it continue to cook to get some of that crispy bit action. It's sitting there, it's cooking in its own fat, so it's absorbing all of that really good beef flavor. You want to get the crispy edges, but you got to be careful because you don't want to overcook it and dry out the ribeye. Thankfully, since it's a prime, it's going to have all this fat, so it's going to be nice and juicy, but we don't want to overcook it. I'm going to do the exact opposite of what I did with the veggies. I'm going to go ahead and build these up in piles so that I don't overcook it. I'm going to go ahead and get the brisket down. So brisket's already cooked. I'm just rehydrating that with a little bit of oil that's going to absorb here on the Blackstone Griddle, and I'm just bringing it up to temperature. Smelling amazing. I can get those hickory notes off of here. Ribeye's looking delightful. There we go. We got our 2 brisket cheesesteaks. What I like about these Dutch crunch rolls is they put a little bit of rice flour on the outside, so we're going to get a good crispy exterior, and the inside's going to be nice and warm and soft. Have you seen people put together cheesesteaks? They put the meat and the cheese in, and then they fill the bread, they close it together, and all the meat and cheese come pushing out the side. We're going to prevent that from happening by creating these pockets in the bread. And when we close it together, we got a good meaty, beefy, cheesy cheesesteak. 2 slices is the right amount of cheese on a cheesesteak. When it comes to cheese and cheesesteaks, it gets very controversial. Don't believe me? Just ask anyone from Philly. Today I'm using provolone, aka provolone. Use whatever cheese you like. It's your cheesesteak. If you want to use the whiz, use it. If you want to use provolone, use it. If you want to use Swiss, use it. Wait, no, don't use Swiss. Use anything but Swiss. Create a steam bath for it. The suspense is building up. One of my favorite parts is the reveal. Let's take a look. Oh yes, look at that. Just what I want. Melted all around. We're getting some good cheese skirt going around the side there. Let's take a look at our brisket. Oh, that looks delightful. One of my favorite things about having a restaurant is the customers. Customers bring me all kinds of wonderful stuff, whether it's barbecue sauce, whether it's rubs, whether it's hot sauces. This is Mike from the restaurant. This is his jalapeno hot sauce. It's fantastic and my secret weapon when it comes to cheesesteaks. No meat falling out. I closed the sandwich, no meat running out because I made my pockets inside. We got the 2 cheesesteaks right here. Both of them are patiently waiting to be devoured and evaluated. Couple things I noticed. The brisket cheesesteak got way more browning, I think mostly from the bark formation on the brisket. Putting that on the griddle really crusted up that bark nicely. So I'm expecting some really good flavor out of that. Now for my favorite part, the taste test. I'm gonna start with the ribeye. I'm gonna reserve judgment on the ribeye until I try the brisket. Both cheesesteaks, very satisfying. However, that brisket, it was more tender than the ribeye, and also you got that smoke flavor. And you know I'm a fan of the hickory smoke. Therefore, my favorite cheesesteak was the brisket cheesesteak. However, that hot sauce, you gotta add the hot sauce if you're a big fan of heat. That takes it over the top. My recommendation to you is go by your favorite barbecue place. GQue, if you're in Denver, pick up some brisket and come home and make yourself a brisket cheesesteak sandwich. If you want the easiest way to make brisket, hit that link right there. Jason Ganal, GQue Barbecue, and I'll see you on the next one. That cheesesteak is so tender, so smoky. We gotta try a video with the whiz next time.